Hello everyone, GoldenNova here. Today marks the official release date of Duelist Advance, a brand new core set that's kicking off a whole new year of releases. We've got a whole new lore to delve into every set, as well as many other new friends to welcome. But that's not what today's video is all about. This two-parter is all about the legacy support cards that are released in this set, plus the ones found in the Battle of Legends Monster Mayhem set, to catch up on themes that have already gotten a video to see how the new arrivals stack up to the old and how they changed the game. So buckle up, cause it's time for the Duelist's Advance Release Roundup. Today's episode is possible thanks to viewers like you, as well as my patrons. If you like what I do here, I would super appreciate it if you'd subscribe to help us reach another wonderful milestone video. And if you want to support me directly while getting some awesome benefits, check out the link to my Patreon in the description below. Part 1. AtIgnister. Starting us off is the obligatory second wave of support after a core set appearance. AtIgnister is accomplishing this by adding another member to the theme that was part of Yusaku's unaffiliated Cyberus roster and bringing them into the fold. Base Link Slayer was a highlight card during the early Link era, providing you with a big body for free that could trade cards in hand for back row removal. So how does this newly empowered version stack up? Link Slayer AtIgnister is a level 5 Dark Cyberus monster with 2000 attack and 600 defense. If a Cyberus monster you control would be used as Link material for an AtIgnister monster, this card in your hand can also be used as material. If this card is sent to the grave as Link material, you can discard a card, then target a spell or trap card on the field, or target 2 cards if this card on the field was used as material, and destroy those cards. So we're sticking with the Dark Cyberus combination that was so popular last set, but instead of giving this Link Slayer a way to jump onto the board, it's available as Link material under certain conditions. Granted, it's not hard to get this onto the field if you want to use the bevy of other AtIgnister effects, and you are rewarded for it by making the back row removal effect more devastating. This design draws heavily from a series of code monsters already in the card pool, with examples like Code Generator or Code Exporter, though those were used from the hand to make Code Talker monsters. This can assist the big AtIgnister family, though don't be cheeky trying to link summon Dark Infant with just a single copy of this from your hand, since it states you have to also be using Cyberus monsters that you control. Overall, this is a pretty sweet addition. It helps you to link climb no matter if you summon it or search it, and it gives you a way to answer back row if need be. But why is he so Goki coded? This Link Slayer looks like he's got a hankering for some grappling. Part 2. Argostars. So much potential, so little to show for it. Continuous trap cards are a hard market to work in, so while I respect the effort these athletes are putting in, I really think they bet on the wrong horse with this one. Oh, speaking of horses, Argostars Adventurous Arian is a rank 4 Dark Warrior monster with 2200 attack and defense, requiring any 2 level 4 monsters as material. Once per turn, you can also Xyz summon this card by using one Argostars monster that you control, transferring its materials over to this card. If this card is Xyz summoned, you can add an Argostars spell card from your deck to your hand, and during the standby phase, you can detach 2 material from this card to place up to 3 Argostars continuous trap cards from your graveyard face up in your spell and trap card zone. This card has me conflicted. Being able to convert any Argostars into a spell search is nifty because we really need that field spell. But if you use only one material, you can't get the grave summoning effect. Well, grave summoning in massive air quotes. But then again, because it draws from the graveyard to use that effect, it might not even worry about that during the early stages of the game. And on the following turn, you can just overlay one Arion on top of another one that you already have, and that gets you that second material while grabbing you another spell. But in a theme that has already proven to be just slow enough to not keep up with the rest of the field, throwing up these barriers to entry isn't really improving things. If this could pull from the deck for that second effect, I could see some rank 4 builds looking to turbo out Arion ASAP to get a full swath of Argostar trap card monsters ready to deploy, but now I'm faced with the reality that a purebred racing stallion is not enough to keep pace. Truly, the worst way things can go for a track star. Part 3. Ashened. Oh, I wanted this theme to be so good! In another example of fantastic art and concepts being used to bring about completely mid-archetypes, Ashened's unique gameplay of giving your opponent a Dark Souls boss to enable your theme just didn't cut the mustard. My only recompense is, thanks to the card Chaotic Elements, we may one day see a weird twist that combines the stories of the Ashened and the Tistina. I mean, as long as the decks are going to be bad, they might as well have good company. Inferno of the Ashened is a continuous spell card that, when activated, lets you place an Obsidian, the Ashened City, from your deck face-up in either field zone. You can also target a face-up card your opponent controls and one level 8 or higher Dark Pyro monster in your grave to send that card on the field to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon that other monster from your grave to your opponent's field in defense position. I'm glad to see we have another card that helps get Obsidian into rotation, considering it's the pinnacle of how the deck functions, and it even turns a Vados in grave into a Kaiju, swapping out our opponent's face-up card with a big bungler. Though because it works on any level 8 or higher monster in that regard, we can instead give them King of the Ashened if we want to provide them with something that has a little less kick to it. It's a decent addition to the theme, but nothing that's going to fix any of the inherent problems of needing your Rube Goldberg device to operate under the correct sequencing. If anything, it just adds an extra couple of gears so it looks fancier, and I'll be honest, I'm a big proponent of playing to your strengths, so have fun with it. Part 4. Dogmatika. I was gonna make this a branded section, but hey, they name-stamped it, so it can't be helped. Alba System Dogmatic Calamity has been around since the OCG revealed the White Chronicle collection, a bundle that included, among other things, every card involved in the branded storyline. And not being able to get my hands on one shall be an eternal mark upon my soul. So, if anyone watching just so happens to have a spare one, think of me. Anyway, let's talk about the card. Alba System Dogmatic Calamity is a level 8 Dark Dragon fusion monster with 4500 attack and 2500 defense, requiring Fallen of Albaz and 6 monsters in your grave with different names as material, and must first be fusion summoned. It can attack all of your opponent's monsters once each, but it can't declare an attack unless you send one card from your extra deck to the graveyard. Once per turn, if you control this fusion summoned card and have 6 or more fusion monsters in your graveyard with different names that mention Fallen of Albaz as material, you can send all cards in each player's extra deck to the graveyard, thus rendering the Alba system unable to attack. But hey, if your opponent has no extra deck, that ought to disable most strategies, so you should be in a good position. This card is an interesting pick. It wields a truly devastating amount of attack points stapled onto a multi-attacker, and the materials aren't that hard to procure. As long as you have Albaz, 6 of any other unique monster will cover this. And between Albion the Branded Dragon and Lubellion the Searing Dragon, we have plenty of ways to make use of material in our graveyard. That being said, extra deck space is pretty tight, and a card that requires this much investment for what is effectively a lot of attack points isn't quite as impressive if you can land a bunch of fusions with decent attack anyway that also come with good effects. But its utility as a game piece is heavily outweighed by its implications in the lore. That being said, what exactly it is still a little up in the air? But that's not going to stop me from speculating as much as I can. For instance, the 6 additional monsters needed for the fusion summon may refer to 6 Albaz fusions. Currently, there are 10 fusion monsters that use Albaz as material. One of them is Alba System, so we can strike that out, and 2 of them are Rindbrum and Sprind, which are basically mechs, so those don't count. And then we have Lubellion, and while it does have Albaz in the material components, it is a Luber. That leaves us with 6 fusions. But does that mean anything? Well, perhaps. Taking a look at the art, despite being a Dogmatika card, the surrounding area looks far more technologically advanced than the city we know. Even when the city's outer crust has been shattered by the emerging Despian city, nothing really looks like this. So either this is some kind of ancient civilization that existed where the theocratic nation of Dogmatika is now, and the Alba system forms the basis of the dragon and maiden imagery that suffuses the church, not to mention also has a reputation for shredding the extra deck, or this is all from beyond one of the dimensional holes, another civilization that had interfered with the Dogmatika at some point or another. We already have the bestials that come through those portals, and those are supposed to be kings of an ancient civilization, so there might be a connection right there. And I mean, the literal card at Dogmatic Calamity has Maximus opening up one of those portals. Honestly, I wish there was more to go on here, but at this point, we just have aesthetic similarities. Alba's system does bear a striking similarity to Sanctifier specifically, implying that it's the most complete or highest ranking of the forms. There's also the vials on its arms and shoulders that look like where the spikes would be on their other forms like Bergrand or Albion, and the strangely mechanical swerve does match with bestial Alba Los, a connection that isn't without merit. Los has 3,500 attack and defense, so if you take 1,000 from its defense and put it into attack, those make Alba system stats. Like I said, most of this is based on speculation rooted in years of study, but we won't learn more until they finally decide to put their rears in gear and actually make Alba Season 2, gosh darn it! Part 5, Dragonmaid. Ah, the dragon theme that just doesn't seem to get a break. Except for downtime, but even that's a card that does stuff. That's gotta be against Union policy, right? But I can't fault their dedication, and that's manifested now with more cards to amp up their strategy. They've been a popular splash thanks to Chamber's ability to search out not just revival, but removal, but will this new support help them break out into a field all their own? Let's find out. Dragonmaid Churmba is a level 9 Dark Dragon monster with 2,800 attack and 1,800 defense. While on the field, Dragon Fusion monsters you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. You can also discard this card to special summon a Dragonmaid monster from your grave or banishment, except a copy of this card. And at the end of the battle phase, you can return this card to the hand, and if you do, special summon a level 4 or lower Dragonmaid monster from your hand. Finally! I've been waiting for Chamber's Dragon form ever since she released. Having only one half around without the other really got my pattern recognition centers in a tizzy. Churmba continues the trend of Chamber, where she's compatible with all the other Dragon Maids, but they aren't compatible with her. The core ones move between particular levels, 2 and 7 and 3 and 8. But the two Chambers operate using level ranges, 4 and below and 7 and up, making them highly desirable. This one's in-hand effect is especially great because it's a supercharged nurse, summoning any Dragon Maid from your graveyard or banishment without even having to commit your normal summon. And by discarding it, you've put it in the best place for show to revive it, which accentuates another of Churmba's qualities, the Fusion Dragon Protection. Show is a powerful negate, but its own lack of protection means any kind of removal basically baits it out. But with Churmba's help, that's a thing of the past. And honestly, it's nice that Chamber is compatible with Hospitality now. Not being able to use that with her has been kind of a drag. This maid is ready to take on the challenges of the modern day, and has finally put a final chapter on the Dragonmaid roster. Wait, you're saying they made another one? Ladies Dragonmaid is a level 8 light dragon fusion monster with 2,000 attack and 3,000 defense, requiring 2 Dragonmaid monsters with the same attribute but different levels as material, and must first be special summoned from your extra deck by banishing the above monsters, one each from your field and grave. If this card is special summoned, you can special summon a level 4 or lower Dragonmaid monster from your deck, and during the standby phase, you can fusion summon a Dragon Fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling its materials from your field and or banishment into the deck. So, what is it we're actually getting out of this? Well, by trading out a monster on field and in the graveyard, you get a big body that gets you a different level 4 or lower Dragonmaid, so you're cycling through your effects. And since same attributes but different levels basically means a maid and their dragon form, you've banished the material to make either of our theme's fusion monsters, which is a pretty good trade-off. With Lady, you don't have to rely on other fusion effects quite as much, and our fusions shine more during our opponent's turn than our own, so what happening during the standby phase isn't really a problem. The only real failing here is that after you summon it, all it does is keep fusing every turn. Though, to be fair, it can make any dragon fusion, and it maintains the option to use banished material. So if you want to do a whole bunch of that, Lady will make sure they get recycled and turned into bio-friendly boss monsters, baked fresh daily. Well, that was a nifty analysis. Now let's move on to the third Dragon Maid that's going to be Lady's dragon form, and... Wait, they didn't give her dragon form? But after all these years, I thought we were finished! No! No! Why would you take this away from me? Part 6. Fabled. Looks like we're using Battles of Legend to import all the Terminal World cards, but I guess this one doesn't get to be a terminal set now, does it? Expecting reverence for the game's vast story is a pipe dream at this point, especially with how they're handling the story right now. Well, let's see what the new cast of characters has to offer the mechanics of the game. The Fabled Behemoth is a level 2 light beast tuner monster with 1000 attack and 600 defense, and if this card is in your hand, you can discard 2 or more Fabled monsters, including this card, and if you do, special summon a Fabled Synchro monster from your extra deck whose level equals the discarded monster's total original levels, and this is treated as a Synchro summon. And if any number of cards are sent from your hand to the grave while this card is in your grave, except during the damage step, you can banish this card to special summon a Fabled monster from your hand. So, without a doubt, the biggest pull here is that this lets you Synchro summon from the hand. It's doubly helpful if you have a handful of tuners, since the effect doesn't check for their status, just their total original levels. And it's not even one of those early Synchro cheaters that only treats it as a special summon when you do it. This is a legit Synchro summon. That's unreal. And much like how Dark World Accession fusion summons by discarding to enable Dark World monster effects, Behemoth Synchro summons via discarding, enabling all the Fabled effects that come along for the ride. Well, all the ones that don't miss timing. I think only Fabled Pegasus, though, is a problem. You also can't trigger Diff if you have it, but that means you're playing Fabled Diff. And then it also just gets you more Fabled out of your hand over the course of your usual discarding. This is a massively powerful piece to help the engine do the things that it wants to do. Now, can we get this thing some pants? I really don't like that this thing is only in underwear. Fabled Gamajin is a level 4 Light Fiend Synchro Tuner monster with 2000 attack and 0 defense, requiring a Fabled Tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters as material. Your opponent can't target other Fabled Synchro monsters you control with card effects, and if this card is Synchro summoned, you can special summon a Fabled monster from your hand or deck. If this card is sent to the grave, you can draw cards equal to the number of Fabled Synchro monsters that you control, then discard a card. Once again, another banger card. They're putting some premium ingredients in the kitchen for this one. The targeting protection for our other on-theme Synchro monsters is nice, but is largely here in case you summon it after you do your combo. The main play is that it just summons out whatever non-tuner you need to get to whatever Synchro you want, not just Fabled ones. Though because of the draw and discard effect, it certainly wouldn't hurt. You can get Valkyrus to get another discard outlet, make Andraith to give your opponent a villainous choice, or if your hand is all tapped out, make Ragin. And none of that touches on the off-theme potential that you have here, so whatever your plan is with Fabled, I think it's a safe bet to say that you're going to want to go all in on Gamajin. Fabled Leviathan is a level 10 Light Fiend Synchro monster with 3050 attack and 1950 defense, requiring generic material. Once per turn during the main phase, as a quick effect, you can attribute any number of Fabled monsters, and if you do, take control of that many face-up monsters your opponent controls, but their effects are negated. If this card is in your grave, you can target one other Fabled card in your graveyard and return this card to the extra deck, and if you do, add that target to your hand. Not quite as exciting as our previous offerings, but that spaghetti still has some sauce. On theme, the stealing effect is pretty heinous, trading in all of your spare Fableds for steals, and while their effects are negated, you don't give them back, you just get to keep those, which is a pretty good representation of the Evil Swarm power that Leviathan now has access to. But because this card has generic summon requirements, any theme capable of making level 10 synchros now has access to that quick steal, since it can tribute itself. So that's something. But another bonus you get for playing this on theme is the recycling, and it gets you any Fabled card, not just monsters, and you've got a great roster to choose from. Well, I'm not sure this is going to catapult Fabled into a new realm of playability, only the Fiendsmith cards could have done that. I'm sure we'll be seeing Leviathan every once in a while to cause havoc, not just to the field, but anyone trying to keep track of life totals. I love that they went with the 50 attack stat to keep it lore accurate, but I do sympathize with how much math this forces everyone to do. I mean, who thought you'd have to do math in a card game where everything is dictated by numbers? Wild! Fabled Realms Revival is a continuous spell card, and when this card is activated, you can set a Fabled spell or trap card from your deck, except a copy of this card. Your opponent can't activate cards or effects when your Fabled monster is synchro summoned, and once per turn, you can discard a Fabled card, then activate one of these effects. Either draw a card, or special summon a Fabled monster from your grave or banishment. Once again, absolutely nutty card. How are they getting away with this? Because this sets any other Fabled spell or trap card when you activate this, it's basically the effect of that card plus the benefits of Revival. Granted, you don't have a lot of options to choose from. Fable only really started getting spell and trap support when the modern Legacy support dropped. But your choices are pretty good. being between a trap card that is at the same time revival, removal, and the discard outlet, or a field spell that puts a Fabled in your grave from your deck, puts Fableds from your grave into your hand, provides a nifty stat boost, and is a discard outlet. The Synchro Summon protection is nifty. It ensures Gamagen and Raijin get to resolve, and if you're fast enough, you can also steal with Leviazabel without any interruption. And you can keep doing it over and over again because you can tribute it for the steal, then bring it back with Revival's second mode. This has a knock-on effect of making Fabled Marcosia even more important, because it's searching an on-theme spell or trap card means you're getting Revival and something else, so you'll want to see it and a discard outlet as soon as possible. So make sure you keep a healthy distance from your Fabled opponent next time you sit across from them, because they're going to be making some plays that are going to kick the doors down. Good luck, Terminus. You're going to need it. Part 7. Flame Swordsman. While enjoying a nice wave of hype upon their initial release, the latest wave of Flame Swordsman support didn't really inspire a wave of Wheeler washings like we would have hoped. Thankfully, the playstyle is still cool and ensures you'll be getting some extra support every once in a while, like is the case with this set. While they made a new Mirage Knight to go along with the new Flame Swordsman cards, they forgot to make a companion Dark Flare Knight. So now, it's time to right that wrong. Dark Flare Swordsman is a level 6 Fire Warrior monster with 2200 attack and 800 defense, and you take no damage from battles involving this card. You can send a Flame Swordsman or a monster that mentions it from your extra deck to the grave to special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot declare attacks for the rest of the turn, except with warrior monsters. And as a quick effect, you can tribute this card to special summon a monster that mentions Flame Swordsman from your deck, except a level 6 monster. This is a pretty kickin' enabler. The initial summon effect can get either original Flame Swordsman into the grave for any fusion shenanigans you might want, or Fighting Flame Dragon so it can equip as soon as possible. Then, you can trade it in for any main deck monster that mentions Flame Swordsman. Now, the lore accurate card to go with here is Mirage Swordsman, but sadly, that card is still just terrible. Its effects conflict with itself, and the payoff isn't even that good. So even though we finally have a way to field Mirage in an effective manner, it's just not worth it. Instead, you can probably think of it as additional copies of Fighting Flame Swordsman, ones that don't require your normal summon, as they are the real combo starter of the deck, let's be real. And any day I get to summon Joey Wheeler is gonna be a good day for me. Hey, when are we getting the Joey print versions of these cards anyway? Reading the problem-solving card text in the Brooklyn accent's gonna be a riot. Part 8. Gem Knight. Of all the themes to get support in Terminal World 2, I should have expected Gem Knight would be on the list. After all, Master Diamond just cannot catch a break. And hey, we did just get Brilliant Fusion back, so I guess there's no better time to take another look at these mineral masters. Gem Knight Nephirim is a level 4 light fairy monster with 1550 attack and 1600 defense. If it's normal or special summoned, you can add a Gem Knight card from your deck to your hand other than a copy of this card. Also, any effect damage your opponent takes during the main phase of this turn is halved. During the main phase, you can, immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a Gem Dash monster, and if this card is sent from the hand or deck to the graveyard, you can send a card from your hand to the grave, and if you do, special summon this card. This monster is perfect for easily gathering the material we need to make Phantom Quartz and go wild with spitting fusions all over the board. Also note that I said that this lets you normal summon a Gem monster, not just Gem Knight monsters. So this means Gem Armadillo is here to get you an extra search, to go with Nephirim's on Summon Search. Speaking of which, this searches for any card in the theme instead of just monsters, so we can pick from a wide selection of bangers in our back row. Or, we can even get to Brilliant Fusion or Scatter Fusion by searching Quartz first. And those two are an excellent way of basically summoning Nephirim out of the grave with its last effect. But we've got another way to do this coming up, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Also, don't think I didn't notice that this cuts effect damage in half whenever you use the search effect. Konami is really trying its best to make sure that you don't Lapis Lazuli FTK anymore, which I am very thankful for. And hey, we can see that Nephirim is the latest version of Constellar Sombre, as we can tell from the design, the stat line, and the lore, so I'm hardly surprised that it seems to have a dim view of war crimes. It certainly lived through enough of them. Gem Knight Hollow Core is a level 7 Dark Fiend monster with 1950 attack and 2450 defense, and you can send either a Gem Knight normal monster or a copy of Gem Knight Fusion from your deck to the grave to special summon this card from your hand. And when your opponent activates a card or effect while you control a Gem Knight Fusion monster, you can banish 3 Gem Knight cards from your grave, including this card, to negate that effect, then make all Gem Knight monsters you currently control gain 1000 attack permanently. And just like that, Gem Knights have joined the Mathmech Circular Club. This time, we send one of our Garnets, which can actually include Gem Knight Garnet, glad to see that the community jargon has come full circle, or our signature spell card, both of which can be very useful for providing material for Phantom Quartz to shuffle back, or to prepare for a fusion summon. Hollow Core also comes with a nifty Omni Negate in the grave once you establish a fusion, and it doesn't even matter which one, even Zirconia, the non-effect one, becomes an Omni Negate. It does banish quite a few cards to do so, mind you, but we've got several ways to recycle those, so it's not really a huge impact. This is going to be a huge playmaker for the theme moving forward, without a doubt, and continues the long history of milking Gem Knight Crystal for all they're worth, even when it isn't Crystal anymore. God, the whole Shadolification thing was weird. Gem Knight Master Diamond Dispersion is a level 9 Earth Rock fusion monster with 3000 attack and 2600 defense, requiring any 3 Gem Dash monsters as material, meaning Gem Armadillo is valid material! Isn't that nice? During the main phase, as a quick effect, you can send this card to the grave, then special summon up to 3 non-rock Gem Dash monsters with different names from your extra deck and or grave, ignoring their summoning conditions. Also, you can't special summon from your extra deck for the rest of the turn, except for fusion monsters. And when a Gem Knight fusion monster you control is destroyed by battle while this card is in your grave, you can special summon it. Well, damn, I knew that Gem Knights had a real knack for slapping down one fusion monster after another, but this card really leans into it, putting 3 big fusions onto the board for the price of 1. And when you're building a board, the best ones we can get are probably Amethyst and Aquamarine to bounce some cards once we ship them from the field to the grave, which is especially helpful in conjunction with IP Masquerena, though, mind the summon lock. But since this is a quick effect, we can also spit out Lady Rose Diamond to reinforce our board state during our opponent's turn, and if we do lose a fusion after using this effect, Diamond Dispersion can retaliate by dropping back onto the field to act as a huge blocker. And this doesn't just banish itself after doing so either, so you can just keep on doing it every turn. It's also important to keep in mind that this can pull from the extra deck or the grave, so you have a choice here. Either you bring out your fusions from the extra deck directly without properly summoning them, thus making it impossible to summon them back out of the grave, or you can summon your Gem Knight fusion monsters the right way, and now Dispersion gets to bring them back over and over again in a near infinite cycle. And Crystal certainly knows a thing or two about infinite cycles, am I right? Sorry folks, the bullying will cease once the developers stop doing it first. Gem Knight Dispersion is a normal spell card that activates one of the following effects, each of which can only be used once per turn. Either fusion summon a Gem Knight fusion monster from your extra deck by using monsters from your hand or field, and up to 2 non-rock Gem Knight monsters from your deck and or extra deck if you have a copy of Gem Knight Fusion in your grave, or add a Gem Dash monster from your deck or banishment to your hand. Also, any effect damage your opponent takes during the main phase of this turn is halved. So we've got a Rhoda and a bootleg branded fusion all in one card. This thing is wild. And, as the name of the card might suggest, it makes fusion summoning Master Diamond Dispersion a cakewalk, especially off the back of Hollow Core dropping the Gem Knight fusion into your grave. And don't forget that while we can only use each effect once per turn, we can still activate more than one copy of Dispersion per turn, so we don't have to lock ourselves to one choice if we draw multiple. And like Nephirim, this also carries the stipulation of having effective damage. Now, these effects don't stack, so if you use both Nephirim and Dispersion in the same turn, it won't quarter your effect damage, but still, if you're using this with the goal of performing an FTK with Lapis Lazuli, good luck with that. And honestly, that's for the best, and there's nothing like a brutally consistent FTK to make players disperse from a game. Part 9, Heroic. Sometimes writing these little preambles is tough because some archetypes just kind of exist. Heroics had their time in the spotlight for a variety of different cards and have just kind of sunk into the background radiation of the game, with the notable exception of some legacy support a few years ago in Dimension Force. Now we've got a little extra to add to the collection, with a nifty little reference to go along with it. Heroic Champion Magnum Excalibur is a rank 4 Light Warrior Xyz monster with 2000 attack and defense, requiring 2 level 4 warrior monsters as material. If this card battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation, you can detach 2 material from this card to double this card's attack during damage calculation only. Once per turn, during the main phase, as a quick effect, you can target one other face-up monster that you control, and equip this card you control to it as an equip spell that gives it 2000 attack and defense. And you can banish this card from your grave to shuffle 3 warrior monsters from your grave into the deck, though purely for recycling purposes. Sadly, there is no drawing involved. This version of Excalibur has a bit of a leg up on the older one, insofar as it actually doubles its current attack, while the old version almost always sets it to 4,000 because it sets it to double its original attack, meaning this version will stack with any boosts that it gets. Another problem the original had was, once you used up the attack boost, it was just a vanilla 2k body. But with Magnum Excalibur, you can take it and put it onto any face-up monster you control to give it 2,000 attack and defense. Sadly, because it can only be activated during the main phase, you're not able to swing in with a big Excalibur, then immediately shift it over to another monster to pay the damage forward, but ensuring that you can turn any monster into a credible combat threat is still an incredible boon, especially because we get to see Magnum Shield reprise its role as an innocuous equip spell that ends up being way stronger than you remember. And having a Gunblade is nothing to scoff at either, you know, because it's a Magnum Excalibur. Part 10. Lunalight. This deck has really had it rough. Aside from Tiger and Yellow Marten forming the basis of a very powerful and mostly highly accessible rank 4 engine, Lunalight was never really able to break into the competitive scene. And the fact that Tiger was banned for a while thanks to how easily it accomplished the Orchest combo probably didn't help. But with some assistance from Duelist's Advance, Lunalight has a decent shot at being a good rogue pick now. So go ahead and play Top Loader's Dancing in the Moonlight, because these new cards are a supernatural delight. Lunalight Silverhound is a level 3 Dark Beast Warrior monster with 1400 attack and 400 defense, and if it's sent to the grave by a card effect, you can special summon a Lunalight monster from your deck other than another copy of this card. But while you control that face-up monster, you can't special summon monsters from your extra deck other than Lunalight monsters. And when a spell or trap card or effect is activated on the field as a quick effect, you can banish this card and a Lunalight fusion monster from your grave to negate the activation. Many of our monsters have effects like this that trigger when sent to the grave by a card effect, and if you've got any experience with Shaddolls, you'll know that fusing your monsters does count for this. Silverhound is the latest one of these fusion utility monsters, this time summoning another monster out of the deck, allowing you to continue to combo off, an effect whose power can't be understated. It does Lunalight lock you while that monster is on the field, but like, that's one of the most milquetoast restrictions out there. I guess Konami is trying to avoid a repeat of Tiger and Marten rank 4 spam tactics, but I mean, let them have it. The Silverhound also has a spell and trap negate once you get it into the graveyard, which can be very handy. You'll need to banish a fusion from your graveyard alongside it, but between Kaleido Chick, Lunalight Fusion, and climbing the fusion ladder in general, we're not going to find ourselves short on those. This hound may be silver, but once you resolve this effect, it'll be your opponent who will be taking second place. Lunalight Gold Leo is a level 4 Dark Beast Warrior monster with 600 attack and 1600 defense, and if it's normal or special summoned, you can add a Lunalight monster from your deck to your hand other than another copy of this card, then discard a card. And if any number of Lunalight monsters are sent to your grave while this card is in your monster zone, even during the damage step, you can target one of them and add it to your hand. Yeah, believe it or not, Lunalight has never had its own Stratos until now. And while Gold Leo isn't a +1, it still does a fine job. And while it does make you discard a card, remember, that's an effect sending a card to the graveyard, and that can easily turn it into some advantage. Especially because Gold Leo's second effect might just see you discarding a Lunalight and put it right back into your hand. We just talked about Silverhound being able to summon out of the deck this way, but Yellow Marten can search out your back row, Emerald Bird can summon out of the graveyard or banishment, and Crimson Fox can set a monster's attack to 0, which is especially nasty with Cat Dancer and Panther Dancer. So Leo has far more utility than it may suggest on the surface. When it comes to value in Lunalights, this card's really got the lion's share. Lunalight Perfume Dancer is a level 6 Dark Beast Warrior fusion monster with 2000 attack and 1600 defense, requiring 2 Lunalight monsters as material, and if it's fusion summoned, you can add a copy of Lunalight Perfume from your deck to your hand. You can target another Lunalight card you control and return it to the hand or the extra deck, then you can special summon a Lunalight monster from your hand. And you can banish this card from your grave to make all monsters your opponent controls lose attack equal to their defense during this turn. So, this card is very funny. Lunalight Perfume has always been a very important card for the theme. It revives a Lunalight, it can search cards, but there's one big problem with it. It's not a Lunalight card! It's a Lunalight card. making it untouchable by the usual search effects of the theme. So you can imagine my surprise when Perfume Dancer waltzes in and ties up that loose end rather neatly. So if we need a monster out of the graveyard, all we need to do is call upon this monster. The materials are also very easy to procure, so it's a much more viable monster for going first than Cat Dancer ever was. As for the other effects, well, an extra summon from hand is pretty nice, especially if that monster has a neat on-summon effect like Gold Leo. And also note that you don't have to summon a different monster with this, so we can essentially reset our soft ones per turns like Kaleido Chick with this. And that includes Tiger, since it doesn't strictly bounce monsters, it just returns Lunalight cards. And the Grave effect can really soften up your opponent's board when you're about to push for game with any of your multi-attacking fusions. Overall, solid support going on here, but someone's gotta let Selena know that the whole perfume gimmick has kind of been done before. I mean, perfume takes up easily a third of Harpy's Explained. Lunalight Liger Dancer is a level 12 Dark Beast Warrior fusion monster with 3,800 attack and 3,500 defense, requiring Lunalight Leo Dancer and any 3 Lunalight monsters as material, and it must be fusion summoned using those material. It's unaffected by all non-Lunalight card effects, and can make a second attack during each battle phase, and once per turn, as a quick effect, you can send a Lunalight monster from your extra deck to the grave to destroy all of your opponent's special summoned monsters. Well, we have been in need of some plays for going first outside of making Baguska and hoping for the best, but Liger Dancer here has made that happen in the most ridiculous way possible. Just a board wipe that you can drop at a moment's notice, while being immune to pretty much everything that isn't a kaiju or underworld goddess. It's the kind of boss monster that people would kill to have. And it's not too hard to summon either. Just have Kaleido Chick send Leo Dancer to grave and copy its name, then fuse away. Or heck, dump Leo Dancer right from the extra deck with Lunalight Fusion if you're going second. And on top of Baguska, Liger Dancer is immune to Baguska's effect that forces all monsters into defensive position because it ain't Lunalight Baguska, provided that it was put onto the field first. So pair them up, and getting a foothold will be next to impossible for your opponent to achieve. And even if it does get position changed, Baguska only stops activated effects, so you can turn it to attack after just a turn and get to the slaughter. Truly, we are looking upon the combined, the cultivated, and the cultural power of Leo Dancer and Tiger's majestic team routine. Lunalight Masquerade is a continuous spell card that, during the main phase of the turn it was activated, lets you send a Lunalight monster from your deck or extra deck to the grave. If you fusion summon a Lunalight monster, you can add a copy of Polymerization from your grave or banishment to your hand, then you can discard a card. And if you do, if you fusion summon a Lunalight monster for one time only this turn, you can banish monsters from your grave as material. The first effect of this card doesn't need too much explanation. Foolish Burial is a good card, who'd have guessed. But it's great here thanks to all of our grave triggers, and the second effect not only gives us a second outlet to get these grave effects to activate while grabbing us Polymerization, but it also lets us copy Miracle Fusion's homework, making us less reliant on Wolf. And since we tend to bin a lot of cards from our extra deck, making our high-end fusions like Leo Dancer and Liger Dancer becomes even easier. Heck, one Liger Dancer is already enough of a threat. Imagine what happens when you put a second one on board. Remember, that board wipe is not a hard once per turn. It's almost as though Lunalight is the going first deck masquerading as a going second one. Part 11. Magistus. With the continued release of the Magistus OCG Stories manga, we were guaranteed to get more cards involving the prologue of the Magical Nations. So let's see what the power of product tie-ins has done to enhance their power. Crowley, the Gifted Magistus, is a level 4 Dark Spellcaster monster with 1800 attack and 1000 defense, and if this face-up card is used as fusion material, its name can be treated as Alistair the Invoker. If this card is added to your hand, except by drawing it, you can special summon it, and if this card is normal or special summoned, except during the damage step, you can fusion summon a Magistus or invoked fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or field as material. Ah, gotta love those built-in fusion summoning effects. Cheating the system really is the best kind of coupon. Of note, we don't exactly have a lot of Magistus fusions to grab, though thankfully the options are really good. Iwas combines with any spellcaster, so it's easy to get and is a snatch steal to boot, while Chorizo takes anything that starts the duel in the extra deck. There is a third option, but we'll be talking about that one next. Not to mention a fourth option, but that still hasn't come to the TCG yet, so we're gonna be hush-hush about it for a bit. As for Invoked, that theme is silly with options, spanning all the different attributes, providing a bevy of powerful effects, as well as Algetis if you fold in another fusion. This can help leverage some extra power in your Magistus deck and help bridge the gap in Invoked should the Meltdown Alistair Invocation supply line break down. Just don't let them ramble, okay? I mean, look at the art here. Crowley must think he's at the center of the universe or something. Zorua the Magistus Verathragna is a level 8 fire spellcaster fusion monster with 2900 attack and defense, requiring a Magistus monster and a fusion, synchro, Xyz, or link monster as material. It can target an effect monster in your graveyard or that your opponent controls and equip that effect monster to this card. And when a monster effect is activated as a quick effect, you can send a face-up Magistus monster card you control to the grave to negate that effect, then you can destroy a card your opponent controls. So while you can just scoop up your opponent's monster's relinquished style to clear the way for your attacks, you're also incentivized to stick to your own armory. Not only will those Magistus monsters provide great effects from negates to multiple attacks, it also gives you the fuel you need to fire off those negates. Its material is also pretty similar to Chorizo's, swapping out the spellcaster requirement for a Magistus one, which, well, that's not going to be much of a problem, I think. And as usual, Magistus Invocation is a great way to get this into play when combined with Magistus Endymion or base Zorua, who can both pull a Magistus directly from the extra deck to meet the spell's fusion requirements. Overall, this is a very solid card to have in your roster, really giving off the vibes of a legendary Flame Lord. Yeah, but not that one. Magia Magic Thunder of Judgment is a normal spell card that is always treated as a Magistus and an Endymion card. It sends one other face-up Magistus card you control to the graveyard or removes 2 spell counters from your field, then you activate one of these effects. You can only use each effect once per turn. Either special summon a spellcaster monster from your hand, face-up extra deck or graveyard, or banish one other card on the field. That's right, folks, it's time for some crossover cards! From a Magistus perspective, it's pretty chill. You get to bring a spellcaster back from the brink, or its non-targeting banishing removal. The sad part is that this all resolves as a -1 because we have to send that pesky card to the graveyard. But Endymion doesn't have that worry. Spending 2 spell counters is a breeze for that deck. Heck, just by activating this, you might just pay back what you spent. And not to mention, it makes much better usage of the ability to summon from the face-up extra deck. It's even searchable with both Spell Power Mastery and Reflection of Endymion, though they probably have better targets, so best not to force the issue. And this is basically baby magic anyways, right? Just Thunder of Judgment? Why don't you come back when you know how to do Thundara of Judgment? Or Thundaga? Vare Magic Lacrima of Light is a quick play spell card that is always treated as a Magistus and a Witchcrafter card. It activates one of these effects, but you can only use each effect of this card once per turn. If you control a Magistus or Witchcrafter monster, you can send a Spellcaster monster or a spell card from your deck to the graveyard. Or, when your opponent activates a card or effect, special summon a Magistus or Witchcrafter monster from your hand or deck. This is more focused on utility than Magia Magic, but I'm here for it. Being able to send your Witchcrafter spell to the grave is great for helping to get them into rotation, and that theme has a number of spellcasters with good grave effects that this can set up. Though if you want to be greedy, and let's face it, you do, you can wait for your opponent to make a move so you can get a free monster onto the field. Most Magistus are pretty wimpy, and you'll need to make the most of their effects when bringing them out. But the Witchcrafters have some seamstresses that are ready to brawl. Not to mention Madame Vare herself has one of the stoutest defenses and negations in the whole game. It's just a shame this card doesn't recycle itself like the rest of the Witchcrafter spells. Now, can someone please tell me what is going on with the word Lacrima? I feel like I've never heard it until Fiendsmith came along, and now I'm hearing it everywhere. Part 12. Monarchs. I'm so mad. I kept from talking about the Monarchs for so long, thinking we'd get a continuation of the Shadowfire Monarch, and then the devs go ahead and make a whole new wave of Monarch Legacy support after I finally dropped the video, and we still don't have a new 3rd tier Monarch. I'm losing my mind! Anyway, let's take a look back at this thing. Tessera, the Primal Squire, is a level 1 Light Warrior monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense, and you can reveal a Monarch spell or trap card in your hand to special summon this card from your hand. During your main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves, tribute summon a monster. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense from your deck. Also, you can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn. Damn, Media's going full Avatar mode on us. Mastering all 4 elements must have been quite the chore. But yeah, this card is as dope as it gets. With the right cards in hand, this is basically the thing all the other squires hope to be, free tribute fodder. But not only is Tessera free tribute fodder, it's a free tribute summon too. And when it goes to the graveyard, you just get base Idea, which starts off the basic Monarch combo that we've had ever since the structure deck came out. It's hard to imagine this not being an outrageous card. It's got prime all the elements you could ever want. Eidos the Underworld Monarch is a level 6 Dark Spellcaster monster with 2400 attack and 1000 defense. Ooh, Monarch stats. And if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Monarch spell or trap card or a monster with 2800 attack and 1000 defense from your deck or grave to your hand. It can also declare an attribute to make a face-up monster on the field become that attribute, and if you tribute summon a monster with 2400 or more attack and 1000 defense while this card is in your grave, you can add this card to your hand or special summon it. So Eidos is like cheating, right? Like super cheating? It's a Monarch that has no on-tribute summon effect. In fact, it triggers on other tribute summons. But honestly, hey, I'm not gonna fault it. The tribute summon restriction was just holding it back. Now, anytime you tribute summon it, you get back an Eidos that's not only netting you a free card, its ability to manipulate attributes means you can take full advantage of your Mega Monarchs effects no matter what. It's even a second piece of fodder for tribute summoning too. Once again, we have another incredible piece of support that helps grease the wheels to make sure the whole machine runs smoothly. But dude, if you're gonna stand up to your dad, you cannot be wearing one of his suits! Have some class, buddy! The Monarch's Master Plan is a normal spell card that sends a Monarch spell or trap card from your deck to the graveyard, except a copy of this card. Also, if this card is banished, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls to add one monster with the same attribute that has 2400 attack and 1000 defense from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Then, you can apply this effect. Immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a Zaborg the Thunder Monarch, Mobius the Frost Monarch, the Stalos the Firestorm Monarch, Grandmark the Rock Monarch, Rise of the Storm Monarch, or Caius the Shadow Monarch. The thing that's really funny to me is that, despite the gigantic wall of text on this card, the actual activated effect on the spell is just one single line. And it's a nice line. Fool's Burial Goods for Monarch spell and trap cards is huge for setting up a bunch of our combos. The Grave effect is a bit more funky though, as you need to have a match between your opponent's monsters and the Monarchs that you have in your graveyard. Now, new Eidos can help with this. The attribute change is permanent after all, so you can morph an opponent's monster to be what you want, but it takes a bit more setup. But if you can pull it off, or make a meta read and know what you'll be up against, banishing Master Plan is pretty easy to do. Thank you, Prime Monarch. You can even do it at quick speed so that you can blindside your opponent with a banish, or a destroy, or a hand rip, whatever floats your boat. But I just cannot get over how devious all these big metal mooks look. They're breaking out all the villainous planning poses here. The Stalos got the head tilt, Mobius asking a snide question, Caius complaining about how that ancient Sith religion hasn't helped him conjure up the stolen data tapes, and Zaborg is doing a bit of a Mr. Burns, as much as he can with those huge claws. Meanwhile, Grandmark is trying to remember if he left the fridge open before leaving for the evil meeting. What a goober. The Monarch's Revolt is a normal spell card that has you discarding a card to reveal 3 monsters from your deck with 2400 or more attack and 1000 defense, and or 800 attack and defense. Your opponent chooses one to add to your hand, and you send the rest to the graveyard. Also, for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you can't special summon from the extra deck. You can also banish this card from your grave to special summon a monster with 800 attack and 1000 defense from your hand. So, this is the monster version of Pantheism, even down to the fact that you can pick 3 of the same card to force your opponent to lose their choice. And filling up the grave is pretty sweet too, along with all the graveyard recursion we've got in this set. Even just new Eidos is super crisp with it. And along with the added consistency, being able to deploy squires with no setup helps you play even when your resources are low, or when your opponent has interruption to stop your initial push. Another fantastic addition to the theme, but it does lend credence to the idea that the Monarch's master plan was to power up a single squire and have it do all the work for him. That way, if things go wrong, Eidos is the only one that gets hit with the blowback. What devious dignitaries! Monarchic Perfection is a continuous trap card that, once per chain, if your opponent special summons any number of monsters and you control a tribute summoned monster except during the damage step, you can banish a Monarch spell or trap card from your grave, then activate one of these effects. You can only use each effect of this card once per turn. Those choices are destroy a monster on the field, destroy up to 2 spell or trap cards on the field, discard a random card from your opponent's hand, destroy a face down card on the field, place 1 card from the field on top of the deck, or banish a card on the field. So if you're read up on your Monarch history, you'll know that all of these effects are the same as the 6 primary Monarchs. Some are better than others, but the flexibility gives you a chance to use the most appropriate effect at any given time. That being said, I'm pretty cold on it. It costs a banish each time you want to do this, and while we do love throwing a bunch of those spell and traps into the graveyard, we only have so many. Besides, when it comes to continuous trap cards that we can use to harry our opponent with, we already have the Monarchs Erupt, and that just sticks around for nothing. Part 13. Nekroz. Of all the dual terminal themes to get legacy support, Nekroz is easily one of the most interesting. While the exact meaning of Tier 0 can change from person to person, I don't think it's a stretch to say that in its prime, this ritual deck defined the concept, which was almost heretical to say about the light blue bordered cards at the time. But power creep and ban lists come for us all, and now the theme is but a nostalgic memory, with the good fortune to be lore related so it can swoop in every once in a while with some extra cards. Let's see what this cycle has in store for us. Avance, Swordsman of the Nekroz, is a level 4 water spellcaster monster with 1500 attack and 800 defense, and if it's normal summoned, you can special summon a Nekroz monster from your deck other than a copy of this card. If you ritual summon exactly one Nekroz ritual monster by a card effect that requires the use of monsters, Avance can be used as the entire tribute, just like Shuret. And if this card is tributed by a card effect, you can add any number of Nekroz cards that are in your banishment to your hand, but you can only use this effect once per duel. Wow, this blows Avance's Gishki incarnation out of the water. Attribute pun very much intended. Sadly, we can't summon our ritual monsters with the on-summon effect, since the Nekroz all have a condition that makes it so they must be ritual summoned, and we don't exactly have the Nouvelles templating. Thanks, folks. Glad to see that a burger shop has better infrastructure than the legendary warriors of water that don the skins of fallen people, enemies and allies alike, to gain power. But we do have some good options to pull from in terms of standard effect monsters. The ideal card to pair with this effect will come up very soon, but Shuret is always a good bet to get a hold of Brainiac or Clausulus for a search once you tribute it. And this even makes Exa a little more palatable, since we can just put it onto the board without having to tribute summon it. Though all it can search are Catastor and Decisive Armor, so yeah, maybe we just skip that one. But the on-tribute effect is what stands out the most here. We banish a lot of cards thanks to our ritual spell, banishing 2 cards at a time to cycle into new ones. So being able to grab a whole swath of them into your hand out of nowhere is nutty. Age really does come with experience, even if it is a bunch of experiences you'd rather forget. Amelia, Dance Priestess of the Nekroz, is a level 4 water spellcaster monster with 1600 attack and 800 defense, and like Avance before her, you can use her as the entire tribute cost when ritual summoning exactly one Nekroz ritual monster that requires monsters. If you have a warrior-type Nekroz monster on the field or in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if it's normal or special summoned, you can add a Nekroz ritual monster or a Nekroz spell card from your deck to your hand. This is a starter and an extender all wrapped up in one, and I don't need to explain just how absurdly strong that can be. Hello, Snake Eyes. We're not lacking in search power as it is, but many effects are tied to our ritual monsters, so having a Stratos does make things a bit smoother. As for its extension effect, it really does crank things up to 11. Warrior is one of the best types we have in this theme, with both of our other main deck monsters that are actually worth running being warriors. So getting her out of hand and nabbing us another Nekroz card is a matter of when, not if. And while it doesn't have an effect when banished like some of our earlier waves of support do, you'll still want to do so since Amelia is such a strong card to put back into your hand with Avance's effect. Truly, she is the Dancing Queen. Abba would be proud. Nekroz of Coincidence is Pillock, very funny. You ask for a little help with script writing, and this is the price you pay. Okay, Nekroz of Metaltron. Nekroz of Metaltron is a level 9 water worm ritual pendulum monster. These are becoming alarmingly frequent, with 2500 attack, 3000 defense, and a scale of 5, which can be ritual summoned using any Nekroz ritual spell, and it must be ritual summoned without using any level 9 monsters. As a pendulum scale, if any number of your Nekroz cards enter the banishment face up, you can target a spell or trap card on the field and banish it. As a monster, during the main phase, as a quick effect, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls, then banish this card until the end phase, and if you do, banish that monster. And any monster destroyed in battle by any of your Nekroz monsters are banished instead. Now, in the interest of keeping this episode's pacing nice and brisk and not getting caught up in my gigantic Metaltron rant, After all, that's prime shorts material worth ranting about right there. This is actually a really nice toy for our ritual toolbox. Whatever zone you have it in, you can banish a card of the same type. The pendulum effect is pretty easy to trigger thanks to all of our ritual spell cycling effects, and the monster zone effect can just be dropped as a quick effect whenever we like during the main phase, and that's very scary. Mirror Jade is a really fearsome card for a reason, and with the targeting, it's just enough to avoid the teacher catching on that we're copying their homework. Oh yeah, and the whole self-banishing thing. Leaves your life points a bit open, but it does help to dodge removal, so that's kind of funny. We'll just have to rely on Trishula for our non-targeting banishing needs. And bonus, we don't have a turn cooldown attached, so we can be a lot more oppressive with it than Mirror Jade can. The downside with this is that it is a pendulum monster, so that means it'll be placed into your extra deck when it leaves the field. And since we have no way to ritual summon out of the extra deck, chances are that it's gonna be stuck there for the rest of the duel if you lose it. Or I would be saying that if not for the existence of Nekroz Kaleidoscope. That card can ritual summon any number of monsters by sending one card from your extra deck to the grave. The important part here is that it doesn't say those cards need to be face down. So while you can't summon another copy of Metaltron with this method, you can summon Brionac and Clausulus at the same time, and this gets Metaltron into the graveyard, ready to be resummoned by Nekroz Cycle. Annoyingly, the levels do have to be an exact match when using Kaleidoscope, but we're about to see a card which is far more efficient for this, so keep listening. But until then, let's take a look at the latest valuable book, which is a travesty of storytelling! Nekroz Divine Mirror is a quick play spell card that, during the main phase, lets you ritual summon a Nekroz ritual monster from your hand or banishment by tributing monsters from your hand and or field, and or sending Nekroz monsters from your extra deck to the graveyard whose total levels equal or exceed its level. And during your main phase, you can banish this card and a Nekroz monster from your grave to add a Nekroz spell card from your deck to your hand. Okay, so this isn't the mythical Nekroz trap card implied to be in the pipeline ever since Nekroz of Clausulus was printed, but honestly, this might as well be it. If anything, it's better than being a trap card since we can use it without having to wait a turn. And this is as simple as it gets. It ritual summons a Nekroz, even being able to pull from the banishment this time. Very useful for pairing with these cycle effects. This also lets you use Nekroz monsters in your extra deck as ritual fodder, while not being so fussy about getting an exact level match, so it's perfect for venting Metaltrons into the graveyard for us to resummon. Or heck, even the Nekroz Zephyr cards if you're into that. And by being a quick play spell, we can also use it on our opponent's turn, which means any on-summon removal effects like Trishula just became disruptive. And just like our actual ritual spells, it comes with the cycling effect in the graveyard, although this can search other copies of itself. So if you need a way to disrupt your opponent with a ritual summon, keep this card in mind. But like, Divine Mirror, come on. Talk to me once you have the blessings of Slifer the Sky Dragon, then we'll talk about your naming conventions, alright? And that, everyone, wraps up part 1 of the Duelist's Advance release roundup. We've still got a little under 30 cards to cover, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the next half, and be sure to share this around to all your friends who are looking for the right new cards to invigorate their love of a particular theme. If the new Gem Knight cards don't put a spark in them, I don't know what will. Today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales that even come with their own lore, and save 5% on your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media, and Simic Toadstool, Nebula Navigators, 3rd Dynasty, 50 Gigabytes, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Battle Axe, Kane Senpai, Charlie Mercury, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade Copperbottom, Dr. Reaper, Eric, Frankie, Garland Chaos, Green Knight, Great Big Pillock, Groog, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Marion James E. Picata, Meme King, Millennia Asta, Muse Clark, Neon Yaminair, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Bat Boos, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, Sonic 21 Blast, The Critic of Innocence, Thievery Coast, and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders Ally Vatnia, Animasta, Anthorak, A Random Pup, Blaze Rider, Blitzwolf, Chaz Ghost, Christopher Fuss, again, Chris B, Cool Trainer Dark, Divine Dragon Felgrind 4123, Dr. Reaper RIP again, Eki Bullock, Eva Padilla, Herbal D, Inblink, Kale the Dragon, Lobomaru 02, Manga Pages, Martin Moore 2468, Natiel Lee Alexander, Nitromo, Not Al Gore, Nyx, Obsidian, Pombo, Rhyme Kairos, Shizuka Nijimura, Sir Knight JCB, Sphelia, Stephen Huntsman, Stephen Williamson, The Legendary Raven, The Phantom Knights of Shitted Pants, The Queen of Time, The Gene, Tiger X2476, Tristan O'Meara and Zaldreka, as well as the lovely Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon down in the description, or consider joining as a YouTube member. And if you'd like to see any of the themes covered in today's video, I've got a playlist of all my videos covering them right here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.